Hi, this is Ron Darling. This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special Mets Musings. We have our Roundtable -1. Though we don't know, he may be joining us. We don't know yet, but we're going to get started with this. And it's the usual suspect we've got from baseball and barbecue. We've got Mr. Jeff Cohen. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing all right. And we also got my old friend and former co-host of Mets Musings, Mr. Barry Newman. Barry, how the heck are you?
Well, good. Hey, Jeff. Hey, yeah, everything's good here.
Well, guys, it seems as if Mother Nature has decided to throw a wrench into the MLB playoffs. And, of course, it affects our Mets tremendously, but it's also affecting the American League, everything. It's all messed up now.
Yes, it is.
I don't like being in this situation, playing a doubleheader on Monday to get in, but the Braves could be in a worse situation because they have the doubleheader. They may have another doubleheader Tuesday. I mean, I don't, they're going to be playing the Royals. The Royals are in a dead tie for the second wild card spot in the American League with Detroit. So the Royals need these games. The Mets need these games. The Braves need these games. The Tigers are playing the White Sox, so they might be that might change the picture with the Royals if any of those games get rained out, because the Tigers could sweep the White Sox. It's not out of the realm of impossibility.
White Sox on a roll, though. 3 in a row.
Yeah, they won. So they could even throw a monkey wrench in this as well. So what are your thoughts on this whole playoff scenario?
It's chaos. And I think Major League Baseball likes that. Although I thought they were wrong to not at least try to get the games. I mean, both teams Monday had a day off. They could have played then, maybe sticking a doubleheader on Tuesday. And then when a state of emergency is declared, and I know that the Braves need the gate, I get all that. But once a state of emergency is declared, they could have went to a couple of places to play the game. They could have went to Texas. They could have went to Miami, even though that I don't think they were in a hurricane path. But they could have went to Miami. They were both away. And even to benefit the Mets, they could have went to Milwaukee. Milwaukee wasn't home, and Mets would still be there anyway. But anyway, it just didn't matter. I mean, baseball did nothing. They just sat on their hands and did nothing.
In other words, baseball did what they usually do. They just halved up from 7 days to Sunday. Like Jeff said, they knew this hurricane was impending for days. The course never changed, yet they didn't even try to play the game on Monday when both teams had a day off. Had they done that, played the regular Tuesday game, and moved that Wednesday game to a day game, they would have been finished with this 3-game series, for better or worse.
Well, also, I think they could have played the Wednesday's game. Don't you think they could have got that in? I mean, I don't know how the weather was there, definitely, but there was no sign of anything quite then. I think maybe they were trying to get people out of their homes and stuff. Maybe, I don't know, but I think they could at least try getting that game in, and then it would only be the one game. I don't think it's right for a wild card, a playoff spot to come down to a double header. It's just so iffy. Anything can happen, and I just don't think it's a fair thing.
And to play a double header, they have to go to say take the Mets. They have to go to Milwaukee, and that's not an easy place to play. They have to fly back down to Atlanta, play a doubleheader, and if they get to the playoffs, they got to go to either San Diego probably,
or back to Milwaukee.
Oh, back to Milwaukee, right? Yeah.
The old Atlanta-Milwaukee trip, two-city trip done consecutively.
Now, there are some scenarios where they may not play those games, but I think those scenarios are pretty slim to none. I mean, they would have to probably sweep the Brewers and hope that the Royals sweep the Braves, or at least take 2 out of 3, which is possible because the Royals are in a big race too. As I said, they're tied with Detroit for the second wild card in the American League, and the Twins are only 2.5 back of the Royals. So they've got a tough task. They'd be playing the Orioles, but the Orioles could just be.
The Orioles are already in the playoffs.
The Orioles are in, and they really, they've got no chance of winning the division. I mean, technically they're still alive, but they're playing the Yankees tonight, and if the Yankees win, they win the division. And if so the odds of them fighting hard, they might, but you know what I'm getting at. It's. You may have to watch out for the Twins sneaking in there too, and it is a mess. This is like that one year, a few years ago. Remember where everything happened the last day, and who was it had to have like every team lose or something for them to get in, and every team lost and they got in. So
I think you know about 2011, and I think it was the Braves that coughed it up, and also let me think. It was there was the Yankees lost to the Rays that put the Rays in the playoffs, and I think the Yankees had something like a 7-0 lead, and then got accused of losing the game on purpose because that knocked the Red Sox out of the wild card. I think that's the you're talking about.
What happens if the Diamondbacks lose all 3 to the Padres? Now, Padres are already in, so they have nothing to play for. They're already in the playoffs. So, if the Padres sweep, maybe they don't have to play the doubleheader on Monday. Mets will be in.
It could depend on what happens tonight. The Padres are playing the Dodgers later on this evening. So if they can win, I think they would only be 2 games behind the Dodgers. So they could theoretically catch the Dodgers.
That's right.
So they would have something to play for, and that could be good for the Mets and the Braves, being the Padres and the Dodgers. I mean, the Padres and the D-backs could just knock each other around. And, if the Padres win 2 out of 3, it helps the Mets. They've only they're in a dead heat now. So they would only have to win 1 or 2 games along the way to get and knock the Diamondbacks out. And I guess the Mets and the Braves are in then. And, it's so confusing. In a way, I'm not sure if I want to really have the the second wild card spot, though. Do you want to go to San Diego after what happened in 2000? When was it? Was that 22?
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll play the Brewers 6 games in a row.
Guys, it's better to just see how it plays out many a time. And I think as much in football, and especially in basketball and hockey, teams try to determine their first-round playoff opponent. They get the team they want, and they end up losing the series. So as a Mets fan of 60-plus years who thought this team was going to do nothing this year, if they get in, we take our chances and we take what we can get, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think we have to be happy with whatever happens because we didn't expect any of this. The problem is though, is that should they not make it, we'll be thinking it's not a successful year, and it is no matter what. Because we were talking 500 people would be happy with, and now the expectations have risen. So I think we have to remember that, but you get that little taste and you want to go there.
Absolutely.
And they have been playing well. I mean, 3 out of 4 against the Phillies, and those were terrific games. And okay, the game in Atlanta was a little disappointing, but it seems a lot of games in Atlanta are very disappointing for the Mets. I don't know what it is with that city that they have such a problem with.
The players change, right, Barry? The players change.
The players change, but the movie doesn't change, or I should say the ending doesn't change.
Right.
And after seeing what I saw Tuesday night, I can't help but be worried about what happens if they do have to go back and play those 2 games in Atlanta. Now, the good thing is, no matter what happens, they cannot be mathematically eliminated on Sunday, no matter what.
Yeah. Wow, which is another strange thing.
It's been that kind of a season with the Hawk Tour girl, the Seymour Wiener, Grimace, I'm missing, the rally pivot, and other things, the DS suspension, and of course, OMG. And I don't know, do you know Nick? Do you know Pinman? Guys, do you know that? Do you know Pinman?
Pinman, yes.
Because he had a situation, I'm not going to really get into it, but something happened with his OMG sign. And to make a long story short, security went and removed him from the stadium for one of these games. It was really bizarre. So even OMG had its downside this year. But it's been a crazy year. And why not end the day after the season is over with the Mets playing the Brewers after being in Atlanta and going back to Atlanta and ending up playing the Brewers, who were no picnic either because they've owned the Mets the past 2 years. So if it came down to it being between the Brewers and the Padres, I wouldn't mind option C.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think they've won the season series against the Padres. So that's the thing. And of course, they won the D-backs. So if they end up in a tie with the Diamondbacks, the Mets go ahead. The Diamondbacks do not. So those are all things to look forward to. The one other good thing about the potential hurricane is we may not see Sale now.
That's right. He has to pitch over the weekend against Kansas City.
If he pitches Friday, he's not going to be able to come back on Monday, especially with his health history. So the bad news is we could see Schellenbach again, or whatever his name is. He's just been a Yankee killer, as they say. I mean, a Met killer in this case. I was thinking of Frank Larry was a Yankee killer, and just never mind.
Yeah, they can't figure out this kid out. I mean, don't they look at video and after the first time and they couldn't hit him the second time?
Maybe third time would be the charm.
Though. Maybe.
Just don't mention Randy Tomlin. He had something like 20 career major league wins and was 10-0 against the Mets.
Really?
Wow! Holy crap! Well, that happens. All right. So, how does the Mets pitching rotation? I know, Barry, you were arguing for Quintana in there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I would have liked to have them stayed in rotation and started Quintana in the first game. Moot point now because they only played the one game and they're all pitching over the next few days. So Where do
So
we
what
go
did they
from here?
do? I mean,
I don't know. I guess they're gonna pitch Naya, who's clearly the ace of this staff. My guess is they'll open the Milwaukee series with him and try to
Yeah.
lock this thing
Yeah.
down
Yeah, I think
as
Mania
quickly
is
as they
first.
can. And after that, your guess is as good as mine.
uh, yeah, I mean, I guess Milwaukee. I guess I think you're right. It'll be Mania to open, and I guess they'll go from there. Maybe if they win the first game, McGill or Peterson goes in the second game.
7 game
So
3.
or even Quintana, and then
Oh,
they have
Quintana, right?
Sevi. They'll have Severino for the Monday doubleheader. I think definitely Severino will probably pitch one of those doubleheader games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess Quintana has to go to Saturday, right? I mean, he hasn't pitched in a week or so I would think he
yeah,
has to go Saturday.
yeah. But then, so that leaves you with like Severino and McGill for the
And Miguel,
doubleheader.
Miguel.
Or they could even do one of those things that you love, Gary, a bullpen game.
A
That's what
bullpen game. There you go.
That's what you have with Miguel. He goes
So
3,
to
4
McGill,
innings. That's it.
he has been pitching well lately. We have to give him props for that. He's gone 5 or 6 innings, a couple of games. He had a bad outing the last time. Well, it wasn't bad.
No, he went 4 innings. And
Yeah,
won
he
the
went
game.
4 innings, and I think there was an error in there, wasn't there? That really hurt that. Or am I thinking?
No, I think there was an error, yeah. But he got through
Yeah,
it.
and he got through it, but they got a run, and that kind of put the kibosh on everything. He threw a lot of pitches. I remember that. So interesting. So we will see what happens with that. And of course, then we'll go into the off season. And the big question is, how much are you willing to pay Pete Alonso this winter or for the next X amount of years? Now, it was reported that he turned down an offer already. I forget. I think it was 6 years for 175 million, something like that.
Something like
I
that.
don't think it was that much. What I heard was 7 years at 158. I've seen it enough on social media with
Okay.
anti-Alonso people posting those years and that number and saying that basically he blew it. And I guess I kind of agree with that now, considering how small he's come up in the clutch this year. And I'm a big
Yeah.
Alonso fan, as you guys know. But the statistics don't lie. And as far as how much to offer him, I don't think he can go 7 years. First baseman into their mid to late 30s. They do regress. You've seen it with so many of them. Albert Pujols, Goldschmidt this year. His numbers fell off a cliff.
Oh
Now, of
boy.
course, the 800-pound gorilla is his agent. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I think the most you go is 5, and maybe even less than that, and have as many opt-outs as you can put into the contract. But all it takes is one team to overpay.
Yeah, but I think a lot of teams are seeing it, and there is a regression. He is regressing back with his the outside slider that the breaking ball pitches again are fooling him, that he laid off for years, and he's not making that adjustment, it seems. And I know he's got 34 home runs, but as you said, first baseman do seem to regress, and he's a power hitter, and if his home run totals start dropping, he's not going to be much of a ticket. But you make a good point, Barry. With Scott Boras as his agent, I just think that maybe he'll do what Nimmo did and get an offer and be happy with it and take it. instead of playing the usual Scott Boras game of waiting it out and then ending up not signed by anybody.
Yeah,
I floated something on social media, and I'm not saying he should or shouldn't do this, but at least I think it's something that he should at least consider, and that is accepting the qualifying offer and taking another shot at it next year, when maybe he learns from this year and the way he's been pressing. Because clearly, as you said, Gary, you could almost feel the tension from your living room. You see him go after that outside breaking ball, miss it by 2 feet, and then fastball right down the middle, which he takes to strike three. We must have seen that 100 times this year. It's very predictable, and I feel bad for the guy because he is pressing. You know, he wants to succeed so bad. So just throwing it out there. The chances that he will accept the qualifying offer are, as Ralph kind of often said, slim and none, and slim is going fast. But I think at least he should consider it and try to figure out what he can do differently to relax himself in those situations.
yeah. I think he should. I think the Mets should sign him for like a 5-year contract. I agree with that. Maybe put in some triggers that will guarantee a 6th year, depending on how he does the previous 2 years. Get a little creative because I know he wants a longer term contract, but he needs to take the lesson from Michael Conforto, where here's $100 million, nah, and then has to settle for something significantly less. Now he's going to be a rich man no matter what, so let's put that aside. But he has the chance if he stays with the Mets to be the all-time home run hitter. He'll be beloved in New York forever. That might have something to do with it to stay in New York. I mean, is he going to do anything in Seattle or Chicago or Texas or wherever he goes? I mean, he's worth more to himself in New York with the Mets than anywhere else. And that means taking a few less dollars, not getting every last penny that he can or Boris is trying to get. That might be worth it to him. 5 years, and then maybe, like I said, put him some triggers for a 6th year or 7th year, depending on how he does.
Well, what if the Yankees come calling?
Well, then you know the Mets are signing Soto.
Well, that was my next question. Thanks for ruining.
You get my guy, I get your guy.
So, do you think the Mets are going to be interested in Soto?
I think everybody's going to be interested in Soto. I just think it's funny that he goes to free agency and the media goes, well, now up with all 30 teams. Yeah, the 30 teams. But I'm telling you right now, Oakland's not interested. The Rockies aren't interested. The Pirates aren't interested. Royals aren't interested. So you know what? It's not 30 teams. But having said that, he's going to be a very rich man. I think he ultimately is going to stay with the Yankees. I really do.
I agree, and I noticed you didn't include the White Sox in there.
The White Sox in there.
I don't think he'd go to the White Sox. Though there's an interesting question there. Would you rather be a starter on a team like the White Sox or a bench player on a middle of the road team? I mean, even or on the Dodgers, would you rather ride the bench or be the star player and play every day on the White Sox? That's a tough question.
Yeah, it is.
Well, if you want Soto, you are a starting player wherever you go. But a young player, I think, wants to establish themselves. Then maybe when they get a little bit older, if they haven't been on a championship team, they'll accept a lesser role to be on a championship team.
Yeah.
The Mets also have a lot of starters that they're gonna next year that they're gonna have to re-sign. I have a list of guys. To me, they should have to re-sign, and a couple of them are Severino. I think is a guy that they should really try to hold on to. Minaya, definitely. Tyrone Taylor, who has been fantastic for them. Jose Iglesias. I don't know how this guy doesn't. How is this guy with so many teams? Well, maybe because he's so good that people keep trading him. But how is he in the minors this year? I mean, this guy hits. He feels. He's a terrific influence. I think. I don't care how. What is he? 34.
Uh, he's 34.
He's like the fastest guy on the team. You got to hold on to this guy.
And a heck of a singer.
And a heck of a singer. And since he came, it just changed the defense got better on this team. And and those are some of the guys that I think they must sign. They have to keep a core group. And I think those guys fit in, and then you fit around if you want to sign a Soto. And look, I'm not against signing Alonso. I mean, but I think they have to really be realistic and not spend a lot of money on him when they could probably sign two decent pitchers. You may want to go in that direction. They have options now. I think we've seen that. And, those are my thoughts. I don't know what you guys can jump in with your thoughts on who they should sign and keep.
Barry, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm starting to less and less feel the need to sign Alonso, and I'm starting to think if he does walk, it's not the end of the world because, as we've seen with the bringing up of Luis Angel Acuna, the Mets farm system looks like it's lock and loaded, and he's the first wave. I mean, where would the Mets be without Acuna after Lindor went down? I mean, he just looks like a 10-year veteran out there. And once Lindor does come back, which hopefully will be the next time the Mets take the field, they'll keep Acuna in the lineup. But getting back to who they should keep and who they shouldn't keep, did you mention Minaya as one of the guys they should keep? Because you'll have to see what the numbers are, because the way he's pitched, I don't know what other free agent starting pitchers out there that's ahead of him right now. The only guy I can think of right off the top of my head is a Corbin Burns. And how much better is Corbin Burns than Minaya right now? So the numbers in the years for Minaya are going to be huge now. I don't think anybody is more surprised about than he is. And now can the Mets sign all of them? And again, you know the farm system better than I do. And they took a big hit this year with Christian Scott having to undergo Tommy John surgery because they were counting on him as a big part of their starting rotation next year. Now they won't have him to 2016. And of course, Uncle Stevie has more money than God, but it seems like he wants to be a little more fiscally responsible and not go way over the luxury cap. So to answer your question, I think as long as they make a fair offer to Alonso and to Minaya, and I put Severino in there too, but I put him on the next level. I don't know if they'll really be able to keep both Severino and Minaya, and I think Quintana's a free agent also. I'm not positive. Quintana.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. He is.
That's 3/5 of your starting rotation. So if you can't sign them, you're going to have to look for replacements. But David Stearns has shown us this year that he finds the right guys. Because at the start of this season, and this is a big reason why my expectations were so low, it looked like the Mets had a staff of mostly number 4 starters, and especially when Senga went down. But look what they've done. The starting pitching has been fantastic.
Yeah. And let's not forget Senga will be back. Hopefully he'll be healthy next year. So that gives us Senga, McGill, and Peterson theoretically in the rotation. So you're really looking to fill, 2 spots technically. You want to back up. There is backup in AAA, but a couple of those guys struggled this year. But that the International League's a hitters league, so it's hard to really get a total feel. But there's Brandon Sproat had a terrific year in three different levels or two different levels. So he's a guy to watch. Tidwell pitched okay, and Ed got better as the year went on. Hamill had had a terrible year. I'm trying to think who else.
Mike Vassell.
Yeah, Mike Vassell. He struggled a little bit as well. So they have some talent there. Just see if they can get straightened out in AAA a little bit. And sometimes guys come up and they play better in the majors than they do in the minors.
And one thing I'd like to throw in, because the Mets made this mistake, and I talked about this for years on roundtables, is Joey Budo, to me, is Seth Lugo 2.0. And I'm hoping that they can stretch him out, groom him as a starter, because they didn't do that with Lugo. He went off, and now he's a top 3 Cy Young Award contender in the American League with Kansas City. And Budo's been great out of the bullpen for the Mets, but if he pitches one day, he's not available for the next 2. And if he pitches multiple innings, he's not available longer, and that hurts the bullpen more than helps it. So that's the way it's going to be with Budo. That's a guy who's been a starter in the minors. That's the guy they should be looking to fill one of these rotation spots, regardless of what they do. Because the bullpen is just, it's a hit or miss every year. Obviously, Edwin Diaz is close to his form of 2022. A tremendous under the radar signing that the Mets made was picking up Phil Maton, because he's been great for the Mets.
Now, he's another guy they got to keep, though. I'm not sure what his situation is. He's got I don't know if there's a team option or there's something. They have to keep him either way. And Jeff just reminded me that Paul Blackburn is a guy that we forgot to talk about too, who pitched fairly well for them. He'll be a free agent. I don't know what kind of money he's making. Manaea is making 14.5 this year. So he might be, you might be able to get him relatively cheap, 60, 80 million. But,
right.
You might be able to get him for like 20 million a year for 4 years. He might be happy with, he's what, 32, Manaea, something in that range?
Something in that, man. He is 32. And you know what? He had his best season in New York. He likes it here. Maybe he does give a little, take a little less money to stay here. And Phil Maton does have a team option.
Okay. So I think they'll exercise that and keep him because he's been terrific.
Now, what's the situation with Brooks Raley? Is he coming back?
He's a free agent.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. Now, if I was a guy like that, but then again, you don't know. I mean, and the Mets came calling and said, "Look, we'll give you what you made last year. You made money off of us. You didn't do anything for us." Being the person I am, I'd probably say, "Yeah, I'll sign with you because I really didn't, perform for you." But I guess it's a business, and when somebody throws more money at you, you take it. But I don't know. There's the loyalty thing. I guess same thing with Drew Smith. He's a free agent next year. I think he'll be out, though. I would like to keep him because he's still pretty young, and and Ottavino's out, and we know how you like him, Barry. But I don't think he's going to be here next year.
And Adrian Houser's still around, so so we got that. So
Adrian Houser's still around. Where is he?
Is he in the minors?
I thought they released him.
Did they? Oh, that's right. He's in the Baltimore system. Exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So Gary. I tell you, there's a couple of people I want to keep that wasn't on your list.
Okay,
Gary. I'd like to keep Harrison Bader around. I think he's a defensive outfielder. I've been very impressed. the way he's played the outfield. Maybe not the greatest hit in the world, but he has some power, and he has just superior.
And he got some big hits.
Yes,
he's gotten some big hits throughout the
yes.
season.
You know what? I like the way Jesse Winker brings that energy to the team. I like that. You know what? I would get rid of JD Martinez. I think he's regressing. I think he's on the downturn. Jeff McNeil, I'd love to keep him as a utility guy. You know, maybe put Acuna at second and Lindor at obviously at short. Because I think Jeff McNeil might actually be better in the outfield than in the infield.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think a linchpin in all this might be Brett Beatty, because I know he's back from injury and he's been raking in the minor leagues. And if the Mets somehow do not keep Alonso and they move Vientos to first, Brett Beatty might be that guy. And he's been given chance after chance. And he comes up to the majors and it doesn't click. It doesn't click.
And remember, we got Ronnie Mauricio coming back.
Ronnie Mauricio,
right?
Yes.
So that's why I said before that the loss of Alonso isn't nearly as catastrophic as one might think, because the Mets have these guys in the minors, and Mauricio would have been on the team this year had he not gotten hurt. And who knows if we would have even seen Mark Vientos had that happen. But thank God we saw Vientos, and he's been tremendous. And maybe at first base, which I think is that his natural position, or is it third base?
I think
third. I think hitting is his natural position.
Yeah.
Although Beatty, I think, is perfect for Yankee Stadium. With that swing and the way he pulled the ball.
Yeah.
He might not be at Citi Field, so I can see letting him go in a trade. I think he'd be a good trade bait, and with Barry saying with
McNeil definitely would definitely be good trade bait. And I agree about Bader and Tyrone.
Yeah.
If you have to just keep one of them, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think I do agree with Winker and Bader as well. But as Barry said, then you're gonna have a glut in the outfield, and I should have thought of that with Martinez. Let him go, because he's been really a disappointment this year. I think you have to be honest about that and say that. And Winker was the DH for the Nationals last year, and this year, until he came over to the Mets, he didn't really play a lot of outfield. He's probably played more games in the outfield with the Mets than he did with the Nationals for half a season. So he does have the DH, experience there. But another guy I wanted to bring up was one reason why they may not sign a Bader and/or Taylor is because of Drew Gilbert. They may want to give him a look this year as well. Now, I know if you look at his stats, they're not that great, but he's been raking like crazy, hitting for power more than his average. He only hit like 215, I think, on the year, but he was out too for a while. And another guy that came back that has been hot, Syracuse is finished. They ended their season last Sunday. Is Jet Williams, which is another kid that they could want to take a look at now. And it's a nice problem now, because this is what they wanted. They wanted these young guys to come along. And now you got a problem. You say, well, Iglesias has played so well, and McNeil, he'll be healthy next year. But, geez, Lindor comes back. What are you going to do with Acuna? Acuna deserves to play. Maurizio's coming back. So, and in the outfield, Marte's coming back. Thank you, Jeff. And we get to see him one more year. But could he be traded? Could that be a deal? Could you include him in a deal with a couple of young guys, a Beatty, as you say, or even a Maurizio? Some team might want to, in spring training type of deal. If Maurizio comes back and is impressive, they might figure, look, we don't have a long-term spot for him if Acuna's gonna be long-term. And don't forget, Vientos is still what, 24, 25?
24.
I mean, the other day I heard that and I said, it seems like he's been here forever. And he's 24. I mean, he's got at least another good 8 to 10 years if he keeps hitting like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm most impressed about is his improvement on his defense. Since he's been playing all the time, his defense has just gotten
better and better. Yeah.
He's not Brooks Robinson, don't get me wrong. But I mean, he was bad.
Somewhere between Brooks Robinson and the way Richie Hebner was as a Met. And speaking of defense, I know you had some issues with our catcher, who is a big part
a
of
lot of issues.
And another under the radar signing that's gone unnoticed is Louis Torrens at the back of catcher.
Oh,
what an upgrade he's been.
He was terrific. Yeah. He's great too. Alvarez, let's talk about Alvarez a little bit. I said the other night, I think he regressed. His defense, I think he's taking his hitting has been off. And I think it all relates. When a guy has a wrist injury, they seem to struggle when they come back. I don't know. And he had the wrist, right? Or the hand injury when he missed. And he's doing the same thing Alonso's doing. He's going for those low outside sliders and they're not connecting. He looks like he's 1.5 miles off the plate. And he looks like he's getting very lazy behind the plate. Now, this is my opinion. And this knee thing, I know everybody's doing it. This is the most stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I'm glad you brought that up, Gary.
It is, I was a catcher, not on that level, but I caught, and I never got on my knee. Very, very rarely. Never would a runner on base. They would tell you, coaches would tell you, you get into you don't even stay in the your normal position with a runner on base. You give the signal, and then you get into a squat, and you're ready to go. Now, I saw a catcher's drill on YouTube, and it seems like they're bringing that back with young kids. So I don't know, but he can't move.
It's a problem throughout baseball. I've been watching a lot of other catchers do it. They're getting down on one knee, trying to steal that strike. I guess the analytics is telling you it's better to frame the pitch than to block a pitch. It drives me crazy. You hear Keith saying it in the booth. You got to get into your crouch. This way you can move back and forth depending where the pitch goes. If you're down on one knee, you can't move laterally, and if the pitch goes the other way, it's a pass ball, wild pitch. It's getting me crazy, but it's throughout baseball.
And well, it's true. And I think part of the problem is that the gloves are so supple now, the catcher's mitts, and they're changing the shapes. They almost look like a first baseman's glove. That I think they can just scoop everything with the glove, and he's got a habit. If you notice on the forehand side, he'll try to backhand stuff. You can't. You got to put your glove down there. You can't backhand on the forehand side. It just doesn't work. And I don't know. The coach at the 86 Mets, remember Vern Hofsteiner? Remember him, the old guy that they had? Yeah. He was like the catching coach.
Yeah.
He had a drill that they did in spring training, and they would get into their squat, and then he would throw the ball in the dirt, and they had ping pong paddles on their hands, and they had to catch the ball. They had to block it, block it in front of them, and squeeze the ball between the paddles. And that's to use your two hands. They one hand everything. There was these guys with the one hand tags back. My first catches meant looked like a pillow. It was a big round thing with a pocket in the middle, and you had to use two hands. That's what they should bring back for these guys when they're kids. Make them in drills. Let them use a freaking thing that doesn't. You can't one hand and scoop everything. They all try to play first base behind the plate now, and I think it's lessened the position and has really meant to let the defense slip. And I don't have the numbers, but I bet you there's a lot more wild pitches and pass balls than ever. And
catches interference. I've seen a lot of catches interference.
Catches interference, yeah.
And we got an 86 Mets catcher on the coaching staff, John Gibbons.
Yeah, well,
maybe we could show some video of him as a catcher in the big leagues, because his career in the big leagues was pretty brief. But when he was in the majors, it was mostly to play defense, and I'm sure he can't be thrilled seeing these bad fundies that not only Alvarez, but as you guys said, that are throughout Major League Baseball. I don't get it either. It makes no sense to me at all. But it's the analytics. It has to be.
But the only catch I've ever seen do that with the knee was Manny Sanguillen. But if you watch Manny Sanguillen was a thin guy, and he was, he could move quicker. And he had a freaking gun on him that he could throw from his knees. That's another thing I noticed, that and not to pick on Alvarez, but he's not very accurate with his throws. I mean, a lot of times his throws are all over the place. And but I've noticed that in baseball in general, that you watch a Johnny Bench throw. I mean, 9 times out of 10, his ball was right on the bag, or, over here. These guys, they're all over the freaking play. Throwing it center field, they're throwing it short, they're short hopping it. If I short hop the ball, the coach used to get on my back, and I wasn't playing at that level. And believe me, I short hopped a lot of with my arm. I don't know. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I think you're right though, with the analytics and the framing. We used to frame. I don't understand why you can't. If you can frame it from the knee, why can't you frame it from a squat?
Well, framing is going to be going away once the automatic balls and strike system comes.
There you go.
Framing will be going away.
We can't get here soon enough. Because we see these pitches right down the middle that are called balls. Now that they grade these umpires, maybe we notice it more. And also with instant replay and calls getting reversed. But the umpiring gets worse and worse every day. They miss some calls that are obvious, and they get them wrong. And you can't even blame Angel Hernandez anymore, because he's gone.
I just hope there's not a challenge system with the automatic balls and strikes. Just call it the way it is, and that's it.
Well, God, if they have that, how long is a game going to be?
You probably have 1 or 2 challenges on a pitched ball. Come on, just make it the ABS and be done with it. Automatic balls and strikes and be done with it.
Well, I think that's the whole idea, correct?
I would think so.
I believe so.
That they would be doing that just for that. I mean, what would be the sense then of putting in a challenge thing?
And you can always adjust the balls and try by who's the bat. Obviously, Aaron Judge's strikes would be a little different than Jose Altuve, so you have to make adjustments to that. But with the technology that exists today, it can't be that difficult to do.
Barry, if they can tell you how much the vertical break and horizontal break is going into the second that pitch is thrown, they can do that too.
Your favorite, Gary, the exit velo.
Oh my God. I still don't understand what when they say the hardest hit ball, what's the point? There was a game the other day. I think the three hardest hit balls were outs. What's the point?
Yeah.
Arias
on San Diego, he doesn't have a high exit velo, and he's just gonna lead the league in hitting.
Oh yeah, he just keeps hitting 340 every year.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Right.
Jeez. I don't know. So do you think the Mets made the right choice with Carlos Mendoza?
Oh, heck yes. And I was 100% wrong on that. I thought the Mets blew it by missing out on Craig Counsell. But Mendoza's been great. He knows the game. He knows New York. He, once in a while, doesn't go by the book. Once in a while, he'll make a decision that makes you win. A couple of times, he's brought in Diaz in non-safe situations and didn't have him for the following day when there was a safe situation. The game we went to against the Reds is when he used Diaz the day before in a non-safe situation and didn't have him on that Sunday game, which is a game that they did lose. But I'd have to give Mendoza, at the worst, a B+ of the way he has performed as Mets manager this year. So I was totally wrong on that one. I didn't think first-time managers, based on the Mets' history, of them not doing very well, I just didn't think he would be able to handle this. But he's kept it calm. When they were 22 and 33, most of us figured the season was over and it would be the kind of year we thought it would be. But he kept the team together, and they just kind of stayed there. They played the best baseball in the league pretty much from June 1st on. I mean, it's remarkable when you really think about it. And I'm stunned with the way the season is done. And even if it doesn't end up the way we want it to now, you still have to call this a terrific season, and it would be a terrific season with a disappointing ending if they somehow manage to not finish the job, and Atlanta and Arizona do get those final two wild card spots.
Just like 2022, a terrific season that didn't end well.
Yeah.
Manager
finalist. They got in.
Right.
Do you
Exactly.
think he's a manager of the year finalist?
Probably, yeah. Him, Pat Murphy in Milwaukee. Another one.
Between him and Murphy.
Yeah.
But the crew has been in the playoffs on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, I guess it's not the manager then.
And nothing was expected of the Mets this year. So I think you gotta say Mendoza is the favorite. But it's probably between those two.
Yeah, maybe Schultz in San Diego too. You know, even though they have a team
but
full of stars.
they were good last year. I mean, they were a playoff team the last couple of years, so I don't know.
Obviously, they got it right with Mendoza, but I think that the underrated coaching hire was the John Gibbons one, who has a lot of managerial experience and stands right next to him every game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But Mendoza's smart enough to listen to him, or to soak it in, and that's a key. When that other guy was managed, I can't even remember his name. Luis
Rojas.
A couple of years ago, he always looked. I don't know. He always looked like he was afraid to make a decision or something. Did you ever get that feeling? Oh, he'd be sitting on the bench instead of being up in the front there, and I always felt like he was he was always looking over his shoulder. What was the general manager going to say or something? With Showalter changed that, of course, but Showalter was Showalter. He came in, you knew he was in charge. Mendoza, I feel, is the same way. He handles the press well.
Mm-hmm.
He's very assertive, it seems, when he's standing there. You know who's in charge. And yet I saw him goofing around and laughing and talking to Acuna all the time. So, that's a guy that just came up, and here he is. You're nervous. He's the boss, more or less. And, he's, at least it appeared to me that he was putting him at ease. So, I think he's done a fantastic job. I really have to put it. And look, the other guy that he gotta be fantastic job is David Stearns.
Yeah.
I mean, he picked what he did at the beginning of the year, and people said, "Oh, he's just it's just putting the team out there, and we're gonna be shitty and all of this stuff." And then he picked and picked and removed and added and picked guys here and look, now we're fighting for a wild card spot. He put it together. He put a good core together. He's done a great job as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we covered everything. I don't think there's anything else to talk about now until this hurricane goes away. And
I just want to say that isn't it strange that Major League Baseball has these wild card chases that everybody's focused on the wild card now. Then nobody cares about the divisions. I mean, it used to be a division race. Now, let's get out the divisions. It's a wild card race. I think if we're rooting for the third, fourth, and fifth place teams,
Let me just say one thing about the season, because it is pretty much from beginning to end. It's been raining the whole time, and maybe there's a reason for that. This happens to be my first roundtable as a grandparent, because I missed the last one.
There you are. Congratulations.
Now that I have a granddaughter whose name happens to be Rain, spelled Rayne, by the way, maybe that's what this is all about. This is the season of rain.
Maybe. Could be.
And hopefully one of these days she will see this roundtable and look at her grandpa and say, "Oh, that's my grandpa.
There you go.
He's funny."
All right. Well,
although her maternal grandparents are huge Yankee fans, so it's going to be a little bit of a battle.
You got to get them young,
Yeah,
you got to get them young.
We might lose this one.
Get the Mets one
say the year of rain, the Mets 4, the Yankees nothing. No matter what happens.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
Get those Mets onesies and the bibs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Get them early. Get them hooked on Mr. Met. Oh, get them a little Mr. Met doll.
She has plenty, but she has a bunch of Yankee ones too. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Well, if she's really smart, she won't be a sports fan, because she'll live a much healthier life that way.
Well, I want to thank you guys. Jeff, you got an exciting show coming up with some terrific guests as always.
Well, yeah, this week we have on the famous Eric Sherman, who wrote a book with Dwight Evans called Dewey Behind the Gold Glove. A fantastic book, and what he went through during his career is unbelievable. It's a terrific book, and Eric Sherman is going to be dropping on Saturday, and then we have the winner of the Netflix show of Barbecue Showdown, Shatika Robinson, and she was fantastic, and it's going to be a great show. It's dropping on this Saturday.
And may I say what a terrific author Eric Sherman is. He wrote the book with Art Shamsky about the '86 Mets and I mean '69 Mets, and he is just a terrific guy. I've met him. a few times and had him on the show a couple of times, and he's a terrific author. So I'm sure that's a great book. And one other note before we go, we have lost 4 now of the 69 Mets players in 1 year, and
Yes.
they are Jim McAndrew, Buddy Harrelson, Jerry Grody, and the last, of course, just a few weeks ago, Mr. Ed Kranepool, who was a guest on this show. And Jeff, you and I ran into him a couple of times in our travels around. And
And you and I met him also at that little signing in
Oh,
Huntington.
yeah, it's Stu Leonard's. Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, even before that, there was a book
Yeah.
club in Huntington, and I forget the author that was with him, but I still have the picture of us, and we met Ed, and then we met him, like you said, at Stu Leonard.
At Stu Leonard's, yeah.
Buddy and Jim McAndrew were no longer. It's been a rough year for the 69 Mets.
And Jim McAndrew was at Stu Leonard's too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go back to then, so that's why I mention it. And
Gary, you'd say also 4 members of the 73 team that passed. It was Kranepool, Grody, Harrelson, and Willie Mays.
Yeah. And Willie Mays, right. Yeah. Nobody talks about that too much.
Well, it's actually 5 from the 73 Mets. Because all 4 of them were on that 73 team.
Who? Jim McAndrew was?
Willie. Yeah.
He was?
Mhm.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay. Well, we kind of ended on a sad note, but our condolences go out to all their families. And again, thank you guys for taking time this evening and coming on. I greatly appreciate it. It's so terrific to see you guys again. We talk on the phone, texting and stuff, but there's nothing like seeing you. So I'm sorry we missed Len. Len, I hope your wife feels better, and you'll be with us the next time, and we'll get all 4 of us back together again. So until next time, let me remind you to, especially now, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.